The lecture hall was cold. At least that was what Ji-won thought every time she walked in. The temperature was perfect for most of the alien students, but humans ran warmer. She pulled her jacket tighter and found her usual seat in the back row. Around her, students from 20 different worlds settled into their places. Some floated in special gravity fields. Others sat on platforms designed for their unique body shapes. A few glowed softly in the dim light. Ji-won was the only human in the room. She was the only human at the entire Thuros 9 research station. Sometimes that felt exciting. Today it just felt lonely. Professor Vreth entered through the main door. The professor's crystalline body caught the light and scattered it across the walls in rainbow patterns. Vreth had taught biology for over 300 years. Ji-won respected the professor, even when she disagreed with the lessons. Today's topic appeared on the large screen at the front of the room. Ji-won read the words and felt her stomach tighten. Primitive threat responses and evolutionary dead ends. She knew what that meant. It meant species that developed strong fear responses. It meant Earth species. It meant humans. Professor Vreth began the lecture with a simple statement. Fear is a weakness. The professor's voice resonated through the room like music through crystal. Species that evolved with strong fear responses rarely achieve space travel. They waste too much energy being afraid. They see threats that do not exist. They panic when they should think clearly. Ji-won wrote notes slowly. She had heard these ideas before. Many aliens believed that advanced species evolved in safe environments. They thought fear was something primitive animals needed, not something intelligent beings should have. They were wrong, but Ji-won had learned not to argue in class. Not yet, the professor continued. Most successful spacefaring species come from worlds with few predators. Look at the Threxians, my own people. We evolved on a world of crystal caves. No predators could harm us. We never developed fear responses. This allowed us to think clearly and build our civilization. A hologram appeared above the professor's desk. It showed a chart comparing different species and their fear responses. At the top were species with almost no fear response. They had all achieved space travel quickly. At the bottom were species with strong fear responses. Most had never left their home worlds. Most had gone extinct. Then Professor Vreth displayed Earth's position on the chart. Humans sat in the bottom section, right next to the extinct species, but there was a note next to the human entry. It said exception, achieved space travel despite strong fear response. Humans are an interesting case, Professor Vreth said. The professor's tone suggested that interesting was not a compliment. They come from what we call a death world. Their planet had many large predators, diseases, natural disasters, yet somehow they survived long enough to build spaceships. We are still studying how this happened. Dae-hyun, a student from the Korthan species, raised one of his forearms. The Korthans were predators. They were proud of their hunting heritage. Dae-hyun often made comments about other species being weak. Professor, Dae-hyun said with a clicking laugh, are you saying humans are basically prey animals that got lucky? That seems to fit. They are small, soft, no natural weapons, strong fear response. Yes, they sound like prey to me. Several students made sounds that might have been laughter. Ji-won felt her friend Hyun shift in the seat next to her. Hyun was Quellian, which meant she could feel other people's emotions. She could probably feel Ji-won's anger right now. Ji-won took a slow breath. She counted to 5. She had learned this technique in elementary school. It helped control the anger. It helped her think clearly. When she spoke, her voice was calm and steady. Professor Vreth, Ji-won said, raising her hand. I have a question. The professor turned. The light patterns on the crystalline body shifted slightly. Yes, student Ji-won? I notice your lecture is mostly theoretical, Ji-won said. You are showing data and charts. But have you ever actually seen a human fear response in person? Have you observed what really happens to us? Professor Vreth's body chimed softly, which meant the professor was thinking. No. We have only data from Earth researchers and some video recordings. Direct observation would require causing fear in a human subject, which would be unethical. What if the subject volunteered? Ji-won asked. She felt Hyun's sharp emotional pulse. Her friend was worried. Hyun knew Ji-won well enough to know she was planning something. The room became very quiet. All the students were watching now. Some had multiple eyes, and all of those eyes were fixed on Ji-won. I volunteer, Ji-won said clearly. I will demonstrate the human fear response for your research. I think it would be more illuminating than your data suggests. I think you might learn something surprising. Professor Vreth was silent for a long moment. Then the professor's body chimed again, brighter this time. This is highly unusual. But if you are truly volunteering and if you understand the psychological stress this might cause, then yes, this would be valuable for the class. We could use the observation chamber in the medical wing. When? G1 asked. Tomorrow, the professor said. That will give us time to prepare the monitoring equipment and create an appropriate scenario. What kind of situation triggers human fear response most strongly? G1 thought carefully before answering. Enclosed space. Darkness. The sense that something dangerous is nearby but you cannot see it clearly. That combination works well. We can create that environment, Professor Vreth said. The observation chamber has holographic projectors and sound systems. We will design a scenario that triggers your fear response without causing actual harm.
Is this acceptable?
Yes, Jiwan said. That is acceptable. Daehyun made a snorting sound. This should be entertaining. I want to see what happens when a prey species gets scared. Maybe she will freeze like a small animal in front of a hunter. Jiwan looked at him. She did not smile. She did not frown. She just looked at him with calm, dark eyes. Maybe, she said. Or maybe you will learn something about Earth that your people never taught you. The lecture ended shortly after that. Students filed out of the room, talking among themselves. Jiwan heard whispers. She heard excited chatter. Word would spread fast. By tomorrow, everyone on the station would know about the demonstration. Hyun caught up with Jiwan in the hallway. Her friend's face showed worry. Quellians had very expressive faces because they were so connected to emotions. Jiwan, Hyun said quietly. Why did you do that? What are you planning? Jiwan walked slowly toward the residential section. I am tired of them thinking we are weak, she said. I am tired of lectures that call human evolution a mistake. Earth was not a safe world. We did not get lucky. We survived because we are good at surviving. And it is time they understood what that means. But showing them your fear response, Hyun said. Will that not just prove their point? That humans are controlled by fear? Jiwon smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that humans made when they knew something others did not. That is what they think will happen. They think fear makes us weak. They think fear makes us freeze or run away. They have no idea what human fear actually does. What does it do? Hyun asked. Tomorrow, Jiwon said. Everyone will find out. She left Hyun in the hallway and walked to her small quarters. Inside, she sat on her bed and looked at the picture on her desk. It showed her family back on Earth, her parents, her younger brother. They lived in Seoul in a safe apartment in a safe city. They had never faced a real predator. They had never been in true danger, but their bodies remembered. Every human body remembered. Humanity had spent millions of years learning to survive on a world that tried to kill them every day. That knowledge was written into their DNA. It was coded into their nervous system. It was waiting inside every human, ready to activate when needed. Tomorrow, Jiwon would show the aliens what millions of years of survival looked like. She would show them what happened when a human got scared, and they would finally understand why humans had made it to the stars, despite everything their world had thrown at them. She lay back on her bed and closed her eyes. Her heart was beating fast. She was nervous. Actually, she was afraid. Afraid of what tomorrow would bring. Afraid of showing her vulnerability to aliens who might not understand. Afraid of the demonstration itself. But humans had learned something important long ago. Being afraid did not mean you could not act. Being afraid did not mean you were weak. Being afraid just meant you understood the danger. And understanding danger was the first step to surviving it. Tomorrow would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. The observation chamber was in the medical wing of the station. Jiwon had walked past it many times but had never been inside. Now she stood in the hallway outside, watching through the transparent walls as technicians prepared the equipment. The chamber was a large room with smooth white walls. Monitoring equipment lined one side. Holographic projectors sat in each corner. The floor was marked with sensors that would track her movements. Everything was designed to observe and record. Next to the chamber was the observation room. That was where the students and Professor Vreth would watch. The wall between the two rooms was made of transparent aluminum. Clear as glass but strong as steel. The aliens would be able to see everything. Jiwon would be able to see them watching her. Hyun arrived first. She looked worried. She had been worried all morning. As an empath, she could feel Ji-won's emotional state. And right now, Ji-won was calm on the surface but focused underneath. Very focused. Are you sure about this? Hyun asked for the third time that day. Yes, Ji-won said. I am sure. But what if something goes wrong? What if the fear response is too strong? What if you panic? Ji-won turned to her friend. Hyun, do you trust me? Of course I do. Then trust that I know what I am doing. I have thought about this carefully. This is important. Students began arriving. They filled the observation room quickly. Ji-won saw faces from many worlds. Some showed curiosity. Some showed excitement. A few showed concern. Daehyun arrived with several other Korthan students. They were laughing and making comments that Ji-won could not hear through the wall. Professor Vreth entered with the medical staff. The professor approached Ji-won. Student Ji-won, we have prepared the scenario as you requested. Dim lighting, enclosed space, sound effects that suggest something dangerous nearby, holographic shadows that move in your peripheral vision. Is this acceptable? Yes, Ji-won said. That will work. We will monitor your vital signs continuously, the professor continued. Heart rate, blood pressure, hormone levels, brain activity, respiratory function. If anything becomes dangerous, we will stop the demonstration immediately. I understand. A medical technician attached sensors to Ji-won's skin, small patches on her temples for brain activity, a band around her chest for breathing, a clip on her finger for blood oxygen. The technician worked efficiently, checking each sensor twice. We will take baseline readings first, the technician said. Please stand in the center of the chamber and remain calm for 2 minutes. Ji-won entered the chamber. The door sealed behind her with a soft hiss. She walked to the center and stood still. The lights were bright now. Everything was visible. She could see the observation room clearly. Could see all the eyes watching her. She breathed slowly. In through her nose. Out through her mouth. This was a meditation technique she had learned years ago. It kept her heart rate steady. Kept her mind clear. In the observation room, monitors displayed her vital signs. Professor Vreth studied them carefully. Heart rate is 72 beats per minute. Blood pressure is 118/76. Cortisol levels are normal. Brain activity shows normal waking patterns. This is baseline human physiology. She looks so ordinary, one student whispered. All prey species look ordinary until they run, Daehyun said with a laugh. Someone else in the room was not laughing. Security Chief Mira had arrived quietly and stood in the back. She was Valorian, a species bred for military service. She had studied human history carefully. She had watched videos of human soldiers in combat. She had read reports about human behavior under stress. Mira watched Ji-won's breathing pattern. Watched the way she stood. Watched the focus in her eyes. This was not the stance of someone about to panic. This was the stance of someone preparing for combat. Mira had seen it before. She began to feel uneasy. Baseline readings complete, the technician announced. We are ready to begin the scenario. Professor Vreth addressed Ji-won through the speaker system. Student Ji-won, we will now activate the fear response scenario. The environment will change gradually. You may stop the demonstration at any time by raising both hands. Do you understand? I understand, Ji-won said. Her voice was steady. Beginning scenario, the technician said. The lights began to dim, slowly at first. The bright white faded to gray, then to twilight, then to something darker. Not complete darkness, just enough light to see shapes but not details. Just enough light to make shadows uncertain. The temperature dropped slightly. Not much, just enough to make the air feel different. Just enough to add to the discomfort. Then the sounds began. Quiet at first, a whisper of movement. The suggestion of breathing that was not her own. Something scraping against a surface. Something that might have been footsteps. Something that might have been nothing. The holographic projectors activated. Shadows appeared at the edges of the room. They moved slowly, never quite there when you looked directly at them, always present in the corner of your eye. Large shadows, the size of something that could hurt you. In the observation room, the students leaned forward. The monitors were changing. Ji-won's heart rate was rising. 72, 80, 90. Her breathing was getting faster. Her pupils were dilating. Chemical changes were happening in her bloodstream. The fear response is activating, Professor Vreth announced. Observe the physiological changes. This is what happens to a human when they perceive danger. Inside the chamber, Ji-won felt it beginning. The familiar sensation. The old instinct. Her body knew what to do. It had known for millions of years. Every cell remembered what it meant to be prey on Earth. Every cell remembered what it took to become predator. Her heart beat faster. Blood rushed to her muscles. Adrenaline flooded her system. Her senses sharpened. The shadows became clearer. The sounds became louder. Everything became more real, more immediate, more dangerous. She did not run. She did not freeze. She shifted her weight slightly, balanced on the balls of her feet, ready to move in any direction. Her hands hung loose at her sides, relaxed but ready. Her eyes tracked the shadows, calculated distances, identified potential threats. Hyun gasped. The emotion she was feeling from Ji-won was not panic. It was not terror. It was something cold, something focused, something dangerous. Hyun had never felt anything like it from any species. It was the emotion of a hunter, the emotion of something that knew how to kill. Her heart rate is 140, a technician said with surprise. That is nearly double her baseline. But look at her stance, Mira said quietly from the back. She is not panicking. She is preparing. Preparing for what? Someone asked. To fight, Mira said. She is preparing to fight. The scenario intensified. The shadows grew larger. The sounds grew louder. One holographic shape moved directly toward Ji-won. Large, dark, threatening, coming closer. Ji-won's body reacted instantly. She did not freeze. She turned to face the threat. Her muscles tensed. Her breathing became controlled. Short, sharp breaths, efficient. Everything unnecessary shut down. Everything necessary amplified. Pain signals suppressed. Strength increased. Focus narrowed to a single point. Cortisol levels are spiking, the technician reported. Adrenaline is flooding her system. Blood flow is redirecting to major muscle groups. This is remarkable. Her entire body is transforming. Professor Vreth watched in fascination. This is not what the literature described. The literature said fear should paralyze, should cause panic, should make her vulnerable. The literature was wrong, Mira said. Inside the chamber, Ji-won felt the full force of her fear response. Her heart pounded. Her hands tingled. Her vision sharpened. Time seemed to slow down. She could see every detail, every movement, every potential threat. And beneath the fear, beneath the chemical storm in her body, her mind was clear, calculating, planning. The scenario reached its peak. Shadows surrounded her. Sounds came from all directions. Any prey animal would have broken by now, would have fled in panic, would have frozen in terror. Ji-won did not break. She turned slowly, tracking each shadow, assessing each threat. Her body was ready. Every muscle, every nerve, every instinct honed by millions of years of surviving on a world that tried to kill everything. Then she looked directly at the observation window. Through the darkness, through the shadows, her eyes found Professor Vreth, found Daehyun, found all of them watching, and she spoke. Her voice was steady, controlled, almost calm. This is what you wanted to see. Human fear response. But you do not understand what it means. You think fear makes us weak. You think it makes us prey. You are wrong, she took a breath. Her heart was still racing. Her body was still in full combat mode. But her voice remained clear. Earth gave us fear for a reason, not to make us victims, to make us survivors. When a human gets scared, we do not freeze. We do not just run. We fight, we adapt. We become dangerous. This is baseline. This is me having a bad dream. Imagine what happens when the threat is real. The observation room was completely silent. No one spoke. No one moved. They were beginning to understand, beginning to see what they had missed, beginning to realize what humans really were. Ji-won raised both hands. The signal to stop. The scenario ended immediately. The lights came back on. The shadows disappeared. The sound stopped. But the silence in the observation room continued, because now they knew. Now they understood. Humans were not prey animals who got lucky. They were survivors. And survival on Earth meant learning to be more dangerous than the things hunting you. The door to the observation chamber opened. Ji-won stepped out. Her heart was still beating fast. Her hands were still shaking slightly. The adrenaline was fading but slowly. very slowly. The fear response did not turn off like a switch. It wound down gradually, leaving her body tired and her mind buzzing. The medical technician removed the sensors, checked her vital signs one more time. Heart rate is returning to normal. Blood pressure is stabilizing. You should rest for at least an hour. Drink water. The hormone crash will make you feel tired. I know, Ji-won said. I have been through this before. In the observation room, nobody was talking. The students who had been laughing earlier were silent now. They stared at the monitors, stared at the data, stared at Ji-won through the transparent wall. Their expressions were different now, confused, uncertain. Some looked afraid. Professor Vreth's crystalline body was perfectly still. The professor was processing what had happened, reviewing the data, comparing it to everything taught in 300 years of teaching biology. Nothing matched. Nothing made sense. Fear should not work this way. Yeon rushed to Ji-won as soon as she exited the chamber. Are you okay?
What was that?
I felt everything. Your emotions were so intense, so focused. I have never felt anything like that from any species. I am fine, Ji-won said. She was tired. Very tired. But also satisfied. That was what I needed to show them. Professor Vreth approached. The light patterns on the crystalline body were moving faster than usual. This meant the professor was thinking hard. Student Ji-won, I must speak with you. What we observed was not what I expected. Not what any research has indicated. That is because most research is done by species who do not have fear responses, Ji-won said. You observe from outside. You measure the chemicals and the heart rate, but you do not understand what it feels like, what it means. Explain it to me, the professor said. Please, I need to understand. Ji-won sat down in a nearby chair. She needed to sit. Her legs were shaky. Other species evolved on safe worlds. You had time to think, time to plan, time to build civilization slowly. Humans did not have that luxury. Earth was dangerous. Every day, every night. Predators, diseases, disasters. If you stopped to think too long, you died. She took a drink of water. Her mouth was dry. So we evolved to think while running, to plan while fighting, to solve problems while terrified. Fear does not shut down our minds. It makes them work faster, harder, more efficiently. We cut away everything unnecessary and focus on survival. Professor Vreth chimed softly. But the cost. Your body chemistry was in chaos. Your heart rate was dangerous. The stress hormones were at levels that would harm most species. Yes, Ji-won agreed. It costs us. Humans who experience strong fear responses too often develop health problems, heart disease, mental stress, damaged immune systems. We know this. But the alternative was extinction. Earth did not give us a choice. Daehyun had been listening from nearby. The Korthan student looked different now. Less confident, less amused. He approached slowly. I said you were prey, he said quietly. I was wrong. I apologize, Ji-won looked at him. You were not completely wrong. Humans were prey, once long ago. But we learned something that most prey species never learn. We learned to hunt back. We learned to track the things that tracked us. We learned to be more patient than they were, more persistent, more willing to keep going when everything hurt. Your fear response does not make you run away, Daehyun said. It makes you ready to attack. It makes us ready for anything, Ji-won corrected. Fight, flee, hide, negotiate, whatever gives us the best chance to survive. Human fear is not about one response. It is about having every response ready at once and choosing the right one. Security Chief Mira had been watching from the back of the observation room. Now she came forward. Her expression was serious. I need to speak with you privately. Now. They moved to a small office nearby. Mira closed the door. That was a message. Not just a demonstration. You wanted them to know what humans are capable of. Ji-won did not deny it. Yes, why? Humans have been trying to appear peaceful, cooperative, friendly. You just showed them you are dangerous. Because there is a difference between peaceful and harmless, Ji-won said. Humans are peaceful. We do not want to fight. We do not want to hurt anyone. But we are not harmless, and I am tired of aliens thinking we are. I'm tired of being called prey animals, of being dismissed, of having our evolution called a mistake. Mira was silent for a moment. Then she nodded slowly. I have studied human military history. I know what your species is capable of in war. But seeing it in person, seeing it in a civilian, that was different. That was more frightening. Why more frightening? G1 asked. Because it means every human has that capacity. Not just soldiers, not just trained warriors. Every single human, even students, even children, potentially. You carry that capability all the time. Yes, G1 said. We do, but we also carry the capacity to control it. To choose peace even when we are capable of violence. That is what makes us civilized, not the absence of the ability to fight, the choice not to use it. Mira considered this. I will need to update security protocols. Not because I think you are a threat, but because the other species need to understand, need to be prepared. Knowledge prevents accidents. I understand, G1 said. Do what you need to do. By the time G1 left the medical wing, word had spread throughout the station. Video of the demonstration was being shared. Scientists were reviewing the data. Discussion groups were forming. The human exchange student had done something unexpected. Something that changed how everyone thought about Earth and its people. G1 walked through the corridors and noticed the difference immediately. Other students moved aside when she passed, not running away, not showing fear, but giving respect, giving space, acknowledging something they had not acknowledged before. Some reactions were less positive. A group of Threxian students watched her with their crystalline eyes and spoke in their musical language. She caught a few words: dangerous, volatile, unstable. They were afraid. She had made them afraid. This was the cost. She had known it would happen. By showing them what humans were capable of, she had made them wary. Made them cautious. They would never look at her the same way again. Would never look at any human the same way again. But was that really a bad thing? Was it not better for them to understand? To know that humans were not weak? To respect rather than dismiss? She thought so. She hoped so. Back in her quarters, G1 sat on her bed. Her body was exhausted. The adrenaline crash had hit hard. She felt shaky, drained. This was normal after a strong fear response. Her body had used up a lot of resources. Now it needed to recover. She looked at the picture of her family again. What would they think of what she had done? Would they be proud, worried, angry that she had put herself through that? Her communicator buzzed. A message from her mother. Just checking in, making sure she was doing well. The message was cheerful, normal. Her mother had no idea what had happened today. No idea that her daughter had just shown an entire station of aliens what it meant to be human. G1 wrote back. A simple message. Everything is fine. Learning a lot, miss you. She did not mention the demonstration. Did not mention the fear response. Did not mention the looks in the hallway. Some things were easier to explain in person, or perhaps never explained at all. Jan came by later. She brought food. Humans needed to eat after stress. It was part of recovery. They sat together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Hyun spoke. Everyone is talking about what happened. The video has been watched thousands of times already. Scientists from other stations are asking for the data. Professor Vreth is being contacted by researchers from dozens of worlds. You have changed something. Changed how they see humans. I hope I changed it for the better, G1 said quietly. You showed them the truth. That has to be better than ignorance. Truth can be frightening. Yes, Hyun agreed. But lies are worse. They were calling humans weak. Calling you prey. Dismissing your entire species as an evolutionary mistake. Now they know better. Now they understand that surviving Earth required something special. Something powerful? Ji-won smiled slightly. Something terrifying, you mean? Perhaps, Yan said. But also something admirable. You function while afraid. You think while in danger. You survive when survival should be impossible. That is not just terrifying. That is impressive. They ate in silence for a while. Then Hyun asked the question she had been holding back. What happens now? Now we wait, Ji-won said. We see how the galaxy responds. We see if they can handle the truth about humans. We see if this was the right choice. Do you think it was? The right choice? Ji-won thought for a long moment. Then she nodded. Yes, I do. Because respect based on understanding is better than peace based on ignorance. They needed to know what we are. All of it, the fear, the capability, the control, all of it, even if it scares them, especially if it scares them. Fear can be useful. Fear can make you careful, make you respectful, make you think twice before dismissing someone as weak. The galaxy has been underestimating humans since first contact. Maybe a little fear will help them see us clearly. Hyun left eventually. Ji-won lay down on her bed. She was so tired. The demonstration had taken more out of vulnerability. 3 days passed. The station gradually returned to normal routine. Classes continued. Research projects moved forward. Life went on. But something had changed. Something subtle but unmistakable. The way aliens looked at Ji-won was different now. In the dining hall, students gave her more space. Not avoiding her exactly, just being more aware. More careful. They watched her with new eyes. Eyes that had seen the data. Eyes that had watched the video. Eyes that understood something they had not understood before. Professor Vreth called Ji-won to the office on the 3rd day. The professor's crystalline body reflected the soft light from the windows. Student Ji-won, I have been reviewing the data from your demonstration. I have also been reading every piece of human research I can find. I need your help. What kind of help? Ji-won asked. I am revising my entire curriculum on fear responses. Everything I taught was based on observations of species from safe worlds. Species whose fear makes them freeze or flee. But humans are different. Your fear makes you functional, makes you efficient, makes you dangerous. I need to understand why. Ji-won sat down. This was going to be a long conversation. It is about evolution, about what Earth required for survival. Let me explain it from the beginning. She took a breath and organized her thoughts. Most species evolved on worlds with some danger. But Earth was different. Earth had constant danger, everywhere, all the time. Large predators, small predators, poisonous plants, deadly insects, extreme weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, disease, parasites. Earth tried to kill everything that lived on it. Professor Vreth chimed softly. This is documented. We call it a death world classification. Yes. But what you do not understand is what that means for evolution. On a safe world, being careful is enough. Thinking before acting is enough. But on Earth, thinking before acting gets you killed. The predator does not wait for you to make a plan. The snake does not give you time to consider your options. You have to act immediately while also thinking clearly. That is what humans learn to do. But the cost, the professor said, the stress, the chemical chaos in your body. How do humans survive that? We do not survive it well, Ji-won admitted. Humans who experience too much stress develop health problems. Heart disease, high blood pressure, mental illness, damaged immune systems. Modern humans are actually fragile in many ways. Our bodies are designed for short bursts of extreme stress, not for constant pressure. That is why human civilization tries so hard to create safe environments. We are protecting ourselves from our own capabilities. This fascinated the professor. So humans build civilization partly to protect themselves from being human? In a way, yes. We create laws to prevent violence. We create medicine to manage stress. We create entertainment to help us relax. We create communities to feel safe. Because without these things, the fear response would activate too often. We would burn out, burn up, destroy ourselves. They talked for 2 hours. Ji-won explained everything she knew about human psychology, about stress management, about meditation and exercise and therapy, about all the ways humans had learned to live with their own dangerous biology. When she finally left the professor's office, she felt tired, but satisfied. This was better than the demonstration. This was education. This was understanding. This was building bridges instead of just showing strength. In the hallway, she ran into Dae-hyun. The Korthan student looked different these days. Less arrogant. More thoughtful. He stopped when he saw her. Ji-won, he said. Can I speak with you? Of course. They walked to a quiet observation deck. Through the window, stars stretched to infinity, beautiful and cold and indifferent. I have been thinking about what you said, Dae-hyun began, about humans being prey that learn to hunt back. My species, the Korthans, we evolved as predators. We have always been hunters. We are proud of this. But watching your demonstration made me realize something. What did you realize? That being a predator is easy. You see prey, you chase, you catch, you eat. Simple, direct. But what humans do is harder. You were prey. You were hunted. You were afraid. But you did not just survive. You learned to think like predators while still having the caution of prey. You learned to hunt while remembering what it felt like to be hunted. That combination is more dangerous than being just a predator. Ji-won nodded slowly. Yes, that is exactly right. Humans understand both sides. We know how to attack because we learned from the things that attacked us. We know how to defend because we spent millions of years being defended against. We know patience because we learned it from stalking prey. We know caution because we learned it from avoiding predators. Earth taught us everything. It must be exhausting, Daehyun said quietly. Carrying all of that history, all of that capability, all of that fear. It is, Jiwon agreed. Every human carries the weight of Earth's history in their nervous system. We cannot escape it. We can only learn to manage it. They stood in silence for a while. Then Daehyun spoke again. I respect you. I respect your species. I will not make dismissive comments again. You have earned better than that. Thank you, Jiwon said. This was what she had wanted. Not fear, not awe, just respect. Just understanding. That evening, messages arrived from Earth. Official communications from the Human Diplomatic Corps. They had heard about the demonstration. They had seen the video. They had read the reports. The response was mixed. Some diplomats were angry. Jiwon had acted without authorization, had revealed human capabilities that were supposed to remain private, had potentially damaged Earth's careful diplomatic positioning. Other diplomats were supportive. Jiwon had defended human dignity, had corrected dangerous misconceptions, had shown strength in a way that demanded respect. The final message was from the Director of Xenobiological Relations. It was direct and clear. Student Park Jiwon, your actions were unauthorized but effective. We are officially reprimanding you for breach of protocol. We are also unofficially thanking you for correcting a problematic narrative. Continue your studies. Represent humanity well. But please consult with us before any future demonstrations. Jiwon read the message 3 times. Then she smiled. This was as close to approval as she would get from the bureaucracy. She would take it. Hyun came by with more food. It had become a routine. Hyun brought food. They ate together. They talked about the day. It was comfortable. Easy. Human friendships were like this. Simple rituals that built trust over time. The whole station is talking about you, Hyun said. Did you know there is now a waiting list for Professor Vreth's class? Everyone wants to learn about fear responses, about human biology, about Earth. You have made humans interesting. Interesting is better than dismissed, Jiwon said. Some species are afraid, though, Hyun added. The Threxians especially. They are peaceful. They do not understand violence. Seeing what you can do frightened them. I know. I saw their reactions. But maybe being a little afraid is not a bad thing. Maybe it will make them more careful, more respectful, less likely to dismiss humans as weak. Is that what you wanted? To make them afraid? No, Jiwon said firmly. I wanted them to understand. Fear is just a side effect of understanding. When you truly comprehend what humans are capable of, some fear is natural. But understanding is more important than fear. Understanding leads to respect. Respect leads to peace. Hyun was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the question she had been holding inside for days. Do you ever wish you were not human? Do you ever wish you evolved on a safe world like mine, where fear is not part of daily life, where your body does not carry this capacity for violence? Jiwon thought carefully before answering. Sometimes yes. When I am stressed, when I am afraid, when my heart is racing and my hands are shaking and I can feel every ancestor who ever ran from a predator. Sometimes I wish I could just be calm, just be safe, just not have to carry this weight. She paused. But then I think about what being human means. We survived Earth, we survived everything. We built civilization in the middle of constant danger. We created art and music and science while surrounded by things trying to kill us. We reached for the stars even though our bodies were designed for running from lions. That is incredible. That is worth the cost. So you are proud to be human, Hyun said. Yes, Jiwon said simply. I am proud. Despite everything. Maybe because of everything. Humans earned their place in our every step. We bled for every advancement. We survived when we should have gone extinct. That is something to be proud of. They finished their meal in comfortable silence. Then Hyun left and Jiwon was alone with her thoughts again. She looked at the picture of her family. Her parents had survived in their own way, had built a safe life in a safe city, had raised children who would never face a predator, had created peace in the middle of human capability for violence. That was the real achievement of humanity. Not that they could fight, not that they could survive, but that they chose peace despite being capable of war, chose cooperation despite being capable of conflict, chose to build instead of destroy. The demonstration Hado when afraid, but the real lesson was what humans chose to do when not afraid. They chose science, education, art, friendship, exploration. They chose to reach out to other species. To learn, to share, to build a galactic community together. That was the true. The emergency alarm woke Ji-won at 3 a.m. station time. The sound was sharp and urgent. Red lights flashed in her quarters. Her heart immediately began to race. The fear response activated instantly. Ready, always ready. She grabbed her communicator. The message was clear. Critical system failure in the engineering section. Multiple students trapped. Life support failing. Rescue teams assembling. All students to remain in quarters unless specifically called. Ji-won got dressed quickly. She knew she should stay in her room. Knew she was not part of any rescue team, but something made her go to the command center anyway. Made her want to help. Made her need to know what was happening. The command center was chaos. Security officers ran between stations. Engineers studied blueprints. Medical staff prepared for casualties. Security Chief Mira stood in the center coordinating everything. She saw Ji-won enter and frowned. "You should be in your quarters," Mira said. "I know, but I can help." "Tell me what happened." Mira hesitated, then decided quickly. A cooling system failed in Section 7. The failure caused a collapse. 6 students are trapped in a lab. We can reach them through the maintenance tunnels, but the path is dangerous. Unstable structures, toxic gas leaks, poor visibility. Any rescue team will be working in conditions designed to trigger fear responses. Understanding hit Ji-won like cold water. And most species cannot function while afraid. Exactly. My Valorian officers are trained for combat, not rescue in unstable environments. They will try, but their bodies will fight them. Their instincts will tell them to retreat. We are looking at a very slow rescue. The trapped students might not have that much time. Ji-won did not hesitate. "I will go." "Absolutely not. You are a student, not trained for this. I am human. I can function while afraid. You know this. You saw the demonstration. This is exactly what I was showing you. Humans work best under pressure. Under fear. Under stress. Let me help." Mira looked at her for a long moment, then at the blueprints, then at the clock showing how much time the trapped students had left. She made a decision. "You will go with my team. You will follow orders exactly. You will wear full safety equipment. If I tell you to retreat, you retreat. Understood?" Understood. They equipped Ji-won quickly. Protective suit. Breathing apparatus. Communications headset. Emergency beacon. The gear was heavy but necessary. An engineer briefed her on the route. Showed her where the dangers were, where the structure was weakest, where the gas leaks were worst. Hyeon arrived at the command center. She saw Ji-won in the rescue gear and felt immediate fear. Not her own fear. Ji-won's fear. Her friend was terrified, but also determined. The emotions were complex, layered, human. "Be careful," was all Hyun could say. "I will try," Ji-won said. Then she joined the rescue team. The maintenance tunnel was everything Mira had described. Dark, narrow, unstable. Strange sounds echoed through the metal walls. Water dripped from somewhere. The air had a chemical smell even through the breathing apparatus. Everything about the environment screamed danger. Ji-won felt her fear response kick in immediately. Her heart rate spiked. Adrenaline flooded her system. Her breathing quickened. Her muscles tensed. Every instinct told her to run. To get out. To find safety. But she moved forward anyway, step by step, breath by breath. This was what humans did. They functioned through fear. They thought while terrified. They saved lives while their bodies screamed at them to save themselves. The Valorian officers were struggling. She could see it. They were trained, professional, experienced, but their bodies were not designed for this. One officer stopped at a particularly narrow section, breathing hard, unable to continue. The fear was too strong. "I will go ahead," Ji-won said into her communicator. "I am smaller. I can fit through easier." "Negative," Mira's voice came back. "Too dangerous. The students do not have time. I am going." Ji-won did not wait for permission. She moved forward through the narrow gap. Metal scraped against her suit. The walls seemed to press in. The darkness was complete. Fear hammered at her mind, but she kept moving, kept thinking, kept problem-solving. Her fear sharpened her focus instead of clouding it, made her more aware instead of less, made her faster instead of slower. This was the human advantage. This was what Earth had taught her species. In the command center, Hyan watched Jiwan's biometrics on the monitors. Heart rate at 145, blood pressure elevated, stress hormones at dangerous levels, but movement steady, actions purposeful, decisions clear. Jiwan was terrified but functional. It was remarkable. It was impossible. It was human. Jiwan reached the collapsed section. She could hear voices on the other side. Weak voices, scared voices, the trapped students. She examined the debris carefully, found a gap, started moving pieces. Small pieces first, testing stability, working methodically despite her racing heart. I can see them, she reported. 6 students, all conscious. The lab has some air left but not much. I am clearing a path. The work was slow, careful. One wrong move could cause another collapse. Her hands shook. Her breath came fast. Sweat ran down her face inside the helmet. Fear told her to hurry. Experience told her to go slow. She listened to experience. After 20 minutes, the gap was large enough. She called to the students, helped them through one at a time. They were weak, frightened, some were injured. But alive, all alive. The Valorian officers had managed to reach her position. They helped guide the students back through the tunnel. Jiwan came last, making sure everyone was ahead of her, making sure everyone was safe. Only when they were all out did she allow herself to feel the full weight of her fear. She stumbled out of the tunnel. Her legs were shaking badly now. The adrenaline was crashing. She sat down hard on the floor, removed her helmet, breathed the clean air. Her heart was still racing. Her hands were still trembling. But everyone was safe. That was what mattered. Jan was there immediately, helping her, supporting her, feeling the waves of fear and relief and exhaustion radiating from her friend. You did it. You saved them. While terrified, while your body was screaming at you to run, you saved them. That is what humans do, Jiwan said weakly. We function through fear. It is our specialty. Security Chief Mira approached. Her expression was complex. Respect, concern, understanding. That was extraordinary, and foolish, and brave, and effective. I do not know what to say. Say that you understand now. Say that you see what I was trying to show everyone. Humans are not fearless. We are courageous. There is a difference. Courage requires fear. Without fear, there is no bravery. Just action. The rescued students were taken to medical. They would recover. They were lucky. Lucky that a human had been on the station. Lucky that Jiwan had understood what needed to be done. Lucky that Earth had forged its children to function in impossible situations. News of the rescue spread as quickly as the demonstration video had. But the reaction was different this time. Not fear, not wariness, gratitude, respect, understanding. The students Jiwan had saved were from different species, different worlds, different cultures. But they all understood now. Understood what it meant to be saved by someone who was terrified but kept moving anyway. Professor Vreth called a special assembly 3 days later. The entire student body attended. Faculty, staff, everyone. The professor stood at the front, crystalline body gleaming. We gathered to recognize extraordinary courage, the professor began. Student Jiwan Park demonstrated something we did not understand. She showed us that fear is not weakness, that survival instincts can be tools instead of limitations, that humans have evolved something remarkable, the ability to act while afraid, to think while terrified, to save others while their own bodies tell them to run. The professor paused. I have taught biology for over 300 years. I thought I understood evolution. I thought I understood fear responses. I was wrong. Student G1 has taught me that there are forms of strength we did not recognize, ways of surviving we did not appreciate. Humans are not an evolutionary accident. They are a testament to what life can become when pushed to its absolute limits. The assembly broke into varied sounds of approval. Different species expressed appreciation differently, but the meaning was universal. Respect, recognition, understanding. Later, Jiwan stood at the observation deck with Daehyun. They looked out at the stars, the same stars that had called to both their species. The same vast universe that they were all trying to understand together. Are you afraid right now? Daehyun asked. Looking at all that empty space? Jiwan smiled. Always. Space is dangerous. The universe is hostile. There are a million ways to die out there. But that has never stopped humans before. Fear did not stop us on Earth, it will not stop us in space. Because you function through fear. Because we learned to use fear, to let it sharpen us instead of breaking us, to let it make us careful instead of cowardly. Earth was a harsh teacher, but it taught us well. They stood in comfortable silence. Two species, two different evolutionary paths, two diffing better, both learning from each other. Hyan joined them. She had brought food again. It had become their routine, the three of them eating together, sharing stories, building friendship across the vast differences between species. I received a message from Earth, Jiwon said, from the diplomatic corps. They are officially pleased with how things turned.